Welcome back. This afternoon, I got like 2 hours before we get out of here for the day. Let's mount some coilovers. And by that, I mean make the mounts for the coilovers, because we don't buy anything here. We build it if we can. So when I say coilovers, these are what just came in. Look at that beauty. Good old rad flows. So these are 12-inch travel, 2-inch diameter, obviously with resis, no compression adjusters because we don't need that in their life. Haven't got the springs yet. Had to call Radflow and talk numbers and stuff with them, but it'll be a dual sprung, probably 212s because it's a 12-inch shock, so it has 24 inches that it needs to work on. So probably 212s there. Don't know on weight ratings. I'm leaving that up to Radflow. I sent them the info off. They're more experts than I am. What I'm doing right now is we have this sitting at our ride height, not to the ground, but axle to frame slash fender. So 12-inch travel coilovers. We bumped the axle out to maximum bump. We dropped her down 6 inches because we're gonna let the coilovers ride in the middle, 6 inch up, 6 inch down travel. So we are sitting at 6 inches off full stuff right now. And we're getting ready to make some mounts that mount to the top of the axle. Let's go over to the plasma table. Over here at the plasma table slash computer, we have our coilovers here. I know that's a 1/2 inch hole just because, and we're gonna make the mounts that hold it. So let me get to doing some computer things and then I'll be back. So what we have here is our lower coilover mount that's going to sit on the axle. It is an offset mount, so from center line right here is 1 inch over, 2 inches over, so 3 inches total on the bottom. It's sitting 1 inch and 1/2, I believe, from center of bolt hole down to the axle housing, while the coilover itself is only 1 inch from center bolt hole to the bottom of the shock. The axle housing is round, and these are gonna sit, so imagine your axle housing is round, the tabs are gonna sit like this. So the axle housing is going to take up some room and get closer to the coilover. It'll make sense in a second. So that's why that's so higher. And then we also have this guy right here. This guy right here is a little tab washer. It will get welded like that. So that gets welded, and then this guy comes in and it gets welded like that fully all the way around. What that does is it will double up our 1/4 inch on each side and turn each side into 1/2 inch, give the bolt a little more meat to grab on, and it also helps stabilize these so they won't have a tendency to bend because you'll have a little more stabilization on it. So let's move this. I've saved it already, so we will exit out. We don't need to save. Open up my Plasm CNC, never update the firmware, and then figure out where we're gonna cut, when we're gonna cut it. I love this system, it's super easy. Boom, we need that guy right there. I believe I have enough over there. Do some kind of situation like that. That gives us a 3 inch by 2 inch. I think we're golden. All right, let's 3 inches wide, 2 inches tall. Move that there. Mess with our cut pass a little bit so it's not so crazy. And then I do make my holes undersized. So for instance, these are 1/2 inch holes, but I cut them at 0.48 of an inch. So that way they're slightly under, and then I will take the reamer and we'll ream those holes out perfectly to 1/2 inch. I think we look good. okay, move you over to the plasma table. All right, so now that we have our mount done, I messed up. I'm only doing one right now. I could just cut an extra. I didn't. So this is one mount. So they're gonna go like this, but we need to assemble these in order. So it's gonna be that guy, that guy. These are the spacers off the coilovers. We need a space between them to leave a little room for coilover. And then we need one of these guys and one of these guys, and we will just tighten that by hand as tight as we can get it. And there's our coilover mount. So coilover sits between these two. The spherical bearing sits on here, but I add a washer in there because if you've ever installed a coilover and this is super tight, it's kind of a pain. Plus there is a little bit of gap between this because this does squeeze the bearing a little bit. So it allows you to have a little bit of gap. So when you tighten it up, these ears will slowly come towards each other, but that's all they'll do. Let me show you how this is going to fit on the axle. So grab our mount, walk over to our axle. It's going to sit right there, perfectly up and down, because I don't want any angle in my coilover. If we were doing a certain percentage of shock right height, you would lean your coilover back a little bit. But since I'm doing in the middle of the travel, 6 inch up, 6 inch down, the angle here needs to be straight up. So that way, when the axle is coming down and back or up and forward, the spherical bearings on the bottom of the coilover aren't going to get maxed out that way, one way or the other. Set it in the middle, straight up and down. If you were doing like, let's see, 70% down and 30% up, right? You'd have to look at your angle on the height from there to there. This goes for like 3-link and 4-link as well, and you need to angle your coilover back. I don't remember what the math is right now, but I think it's like 10% for that roughly 70-30 ratio. I'd have to look it up online, but since we're doing the middle, what matters for us is straight up and down. So it will get welded there. That looks great. We make another mount, we'll stack it on the other side, and then we'll do some welding. All right, so now we're going to make these mounts vertical. So the 4Runner's sitting on the lift, but it's not quite level. It's kind of sitting back like this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my digital gauge here. I'm gonna stick it on, let's do the bottom of the pinch weld. We're gonna zero it out, so that's 0. We'll take it, we're gonna rotate it. We want this to say 90. So, you guys can't see this, but we're at 91. We will move this back, and we are at perfect 90 now. So, it is the Jills. Perfect 90 now. So I'll bring the welder over, we'll tack all 4 corners, and then move to the other side. All right, so they are heavily tacked in all 4 corners. Essentially went from the inside to the outside. Everywhere, both sides. Also got a good little couple ones on our tabs there, waiting for those things to cool down. And then we will move on to mounting the coilover and setting this thing at straight up and down on the coilover there and get a rough idea where it has to pass through, and then start cutting some holes. As far as in and out goes, so front to back we're going to do 0 lane. As far as in and out goes, we have plenty of room, so I'm shooting for maybe 5 degrees in, and that kind of helps you a little bit as far as like the axle wanting to like take sideways hits, but we have a track bar, so that's going to take care of that. It just adds a little bit of stability. You don't want to go too much because then the truck is essentially squeezing the coilover a lot easier, and you'd have to up your spring rate. So we're going to go almost straight up and down, but we'll let these cool for like 5 minutes, and then we'll bolt some coilovers in. Ooh. Feel better? So, got the coilovers in now. They are sitting straight up and down. They are sitting straight up and down like that. And they're just sitting against the fender well now, but they're leaned in, and that's a little more than 5 degrees. But do that times 2, and I'm just sitting here. So right now, these shocks are completely bottomed out. So these need to go up 6 inches. To go up 6 inches, we have to go into a fender well. So I was doing a little forward planning here and cutting a hole in the fender well for this, no issue. And running the hoop that I was planning on running is no issue here on the passenger side, because we can see the frame. Got a little intake manifold right here in the way, but we can see the frame, so we can come up at an angle, hoop in through, and then come down. No issue. This side lies the issue. The steering shaft, right here, is not even hooked up yet. I have to do that. So I got to stop what I'm doing to hook the steering shaft up, which means extending it because I moved the box forward. But it is in the way to do that. So steering shaft is right here. Frame is down there, so can't do that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have to make some engineered towers out of some 1/4 inch. So they essentially will be like swan necks that stand up, boom, come up off the frame, weave around the intake manifold, come up in here, coilover, bolt in here. Same thing over here, except this side, they'll have to come up. We have plenty of room that way against the exhaust manifold, but we don't have a lot of room towards the fender well because the steering shaft. So they'll have to come up and bend around the steering shaft and come up and over. But it kind of works out. The coilover is sitting right about here in the fender well. So right here, it's kind of hard to show 3D space, but as you can see, there's tons of room. We have some lines that are flexible to get out of the way. So that's issue. That side's not an issue. This side's not really an issue either. We got some flexible AC lines, minus that hard line right there that is AC, but I think what we can do is bend that guy either that way or that way. We'll have to see exactly where the coilover is going to line up. So I guess we're going to switch gears here and extend the steering shaft. So let me walk you through the steps. Step 1, make sure our pitman arm here is straight front to back. It is, because I have marked it front and back. It is still lined up, imagine that. And then we got to make sure our steering wheel is straight enough. Steering wheel is straight enough. I'll probably put the phone down and run the seat belt through it, or grab the thing off the alignment rack to keep the wheel straight. But the problem doing that is then we don't have one for the alignment rack. So probably run the seat belt through it to get it straight enough. There's plenty of room, enough room in the drag link to straighten the steering wheel. Plenty of adjustment, I should say, because I left a little bit of thread on it for error. So what we have to do now is, and then we'll take the steering shaft off. We will cut it, sleeve it, loosely grind everything up, bolt it all together, weld it, turn the wheel, weld it, and it will essentially get welded in place, but we will keep the slide that's on it. So right here is the lower side, that's the upper side. Right here's the slide. You can see it, I've got it pulled all the way out right now. That's the max it can go, so we need to go roughly about half. The reason they put a slide in it is the box lives right there. If you were to get in a front end wreck, boom, 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 that shaft is coming, comes up, it pushes up, and then the steering shaft goes into you, or the steering column goes into you in a wreck. whenever 80s, they decided that that was a bad thing, they put slides in them, and we're gonna keep the slide. Highly recommend you guys keep the slides for a road going vehicle. So again, we're gonna cut it. Probably gonna cut this section down here because this is just normal tube. We'll cut it way down here near the joint, and then I guess I'll be back with that. All right, so I took the steering shaft out. That was it. Cut that end off, ground both ends up, and then over in my scrap pile, I found a piece of 3/4 inch solid stock, and it fits perfectly in there. I don't know where it came from or why I have it, but that's why you don't throw any things away. And then it fits in there perfectly as well. So what we'll do is I will install this guy. I was gonna outer sleeve it, that's why I ground so much, but now we're not. I will install this guy onto the box all the way. We'll install this guy back into the truck all the way into its splines, and then we will measure how much we need, and then I'll be able to slide it all the way in, get these two lined up, and then slide it back in. But before I do that, I'm gonna drill holes in this so we can plug weld it. We're not relying on only the perimeter weld, or round weld, whatever you want to call it, right there. So have some holes. Yeah, everything works out. I'll be back when that's done, because that's probably pretty more boring me doing all that. We got our holes in each side drilled in those. Install those now, like I said, and we'll measure that bar, and I'll be back once I get it all assembled, ready for welding. All right, so long part is in, short part is in, the centering tube, we'll call it, is in. It goes all the way to the bottom, it bottoms out, and then past that hole's another inch. So plenty of overlap. It has a little slop in it as I move it, but it's not a ton, so I'll probably put just a finger barely on it and weld it or tack it. Rotate the wheel, make sure it's not binding, but it has so minimal in it. I think that rag joint would eliminate it, anything you would feel anyways, but we'll test it. But we'll be back when I get it all welded up. Back. Steering shaft all welded up. Everything's great. End of the day. So coilovers didn't get installed today. That'll be next. All right, to wrap this video up, don't pay attention to how that thing's not straight up and down right now. There we go. So coilover straight up and down this way, and then it just sitting against the fender well is 8 degrees, so we will stand that up a little bit more. But what I've done is I have marked the paint marker left and right, and then looking up the coilover left and right. Same thing over here, left and right, and then looking up the coilover left and right. So what we will do next video is we will drill a hole, a little exploratory hole up through the fender well. Make sure everything's out of the way, and then we'll take our air saw, we'll cut our big hole for the coil to pass through, we'll charge our shocks just a little bit to get them up to 6 inches. We'll work on our towers. But that is next time. Thanks for watching. See you guys later. A couple more steps checked off the list. Like, share, subscribe, all the fun stuff. See you guys. Oh, and to explain the towers a little better, essentially they'll be fabricated plate towers like you would find on a modern vehicle. Hope that clears that up. Bye again.